U.S. travelers should not visit Mexico's crime-ridden states. New travel advisory warns the State Department is asking U.S. tourists to be careful when visiting the southern neighbor. But 5 Mexican states have received the highest warning under an overhauled travel advisory system. The department on Wednesday gave a "do not travel" advisory, the harshest of the new 4-level alert classification, to northern Mexico's border state of Tamaulipas and the country's Pacific coast. States of Sinaloa, Guerrero, Michoacán, and Colima. The advisory cites that these states are rife with crime. The department has previously warned about traveling to all or part of the 5 states. But the new rating puts them in the same category as Somalia, Yemen, Syria, or Afghanistan. According to the Chicago Tribune, violent crime, such as homicide, kidnapping, carjacking, and robbery is widespread. The advisory reads, "The U.S. government has limited ability to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens in many areas of Mexico as U.S. government employees are prohibited from travel to these areas. In case travelers decide to visit Mexico, the department tells them to use toll roads if possible while avoiding driving at night." U.S. tourists are asked to be extra vigilant when using ATMs or banks and exercise caution while visiting bars. Additionally, they should not display signs of wealth, such as wearing expensive watches or jewelry. Overall, Mexico has a 2-level warning, meaning that tourists should exercise increased caution, but additional 11 Mexican states received a level 3 rating known as reconsider travel. The country has 31 states, half of which are placed under a level 3 or 4, the Tribune reported. In an interview with Newsweek last month, Mexican Secretary of Tourism Enrique de la Madrid Cordero said that U.S. tourists feel safe in Mexico, despite a report from the State Department that found 264 American deaths in 2016, of which 75 were related to homicide, more than any other country in the world. In Mexico's main tourist areas for foreigners, Cancun, Riviera Maya, and Los Cabos, we haven't heard of foreign tourists' casualties that stemmed from insecurity in the last 2 years. So I would like to see those death cases and provide an answer based on that, he said at the time. It may be anecdotal cases where one tourist kills his or her significant other or vice versa. These are not acts related to violence. Meanwhile, the department changed its position on Cuba under this ranking. The advisory advises tourists to reconsider travel there, following the health attacks directed at U.S. Embassy Havana employees. Previously, Cuba received a warning that advised Americans not to travel to the island, Miami-based channel WLRN reported. The U.S. has issued its highest "do not travel" warning for 5 Mexican states. The U.S. State Department issued a travel warning Wednesday advising Americans to avoid 5 states in Mexico, putting the regions at the same level of danger as war-torn Syria, Yemen, and Somalia. The level 4 "do not travel" risk is the highest warning and applies to the Pacific coast states of Sinaloa, Colima, Michoacán, Guerrero, and Tamaulipas on the eastern Gulf. Violent crime, such as homicide, kidnapping, carjacking, and robbery, is widespread, the advisory reads. Guerrero has suffered from a long history of violence. In 2014, 43 students were abducted and killed in Guerrero State. Last week, a police shootout left 11 people dead. In the travel advisory, the State Department warns that armed groups operate independently of the government in many areas of Guerrero. Members of these groups frequently maintain roadblocks and may use violence towards travelers. Criminal organizations also operate heavily in the state of Sinaloa. In 2016, the infamous cartel boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was arrested and extradited, but violence remains in the power vacuum of his drug empire. Last year, Mexico's homicide rate was the deadliest on record, according to The Guardian, with 23,101 murder investigations opened. Mexico overall was given a level 2 warning. which means travelers should exercise increased caution. 11 additional Mexican states received a Level 3 warning, meaning reconsider travel. The country's main tourism destinations, Cancun, the Mayan Riviera, Los Cabos, Puerto Vallarta, Riviera Nayarit, and Mexico City, have no travel restrictions, Mexico's tourism secretariat said in a statement.